Do you ever have one of those days when you feel like God's just given up on you? And actually it's only in your mind because you've maybe failed too many times or your weaknesses get magnified. And we're all weak and we all fail and we all do things wrong. But can I tell you this morning that God does not disown or is never unfaithful to his children? And I want to talk about that today in your morning cup of inspiration. Thanks for joining me. I like to come back to the example of Peter in the Bible when we talk about failure and we talk about God not giving up, because most of you know that story where Peter failed Jesus by disowning him 3 times. He denied him 3 times. And I can't imagine how low Peter must have felt when Jesus turned and looked him in the eye on that 3rd denial. But a few days later, Jesus was right there on the shore. Peter saw him, came off the boat, came up to him and hugged him for the first time since that terrible crucifixion. And in that process, Jesus said, "Do you love me, Peter?" And of course, Peter said, "You know I love you." And Jesus said, "Feed my sheep." And Jesus was commissioning Peter for the job he had in store for him to be the shepherd of his flock, be the shepherd of the church. And I don't think it was a coincidence that Peter denied him 3 times and Jesus commissioned him 3 times. Jesus was making the point, you can never fail me too many times. I have a job for you to do. So if you today feel like you continually fail God, that you continually fall short, your weakness seems to be magnified, never lose sight of the fact that Jesus will not forsake you. He will not disown you. He has a job and a plan for you to do. Listen to what it says in Philippians 1:6. It says, "He who has begun a good work in you will complete it until the day of Jesus." He has a work for you. He's begun and he wants to complete it in your life. So let him do that. The 2nd chapter, the 13th verse of Philippians, "For it's God who works in you both to will and to do his good pleasure." God is working in you today. He's not disowning you. He has a plan and a purpose for your life. I pray that you'll grab a hold of that truth. Do not let the enemy get in your head that God's given up on you. He hasn't. He wants to use you. He wants you to be faithful. And I pray together that we can do that to glorify his kingdom. God bless. Thanks for joining me for that morning cup of inspiration. And we'll see you next time.